and little baby Nye, and today we're proving that food grinding actually works much better than composting. And for those of us who don't have a lot of time on our hands, this is a bit of a revelation. And so I wanted to show, I've demonstrated here in the garden that you can grind your food waste and then just pour it on the ground and it turns into soil in 3 to 6 days. I've also demonstrated, and I'll show you, that you can take the food waste, and let's look over here a second, and you can grind it up, put it in a plastic container outside, and it doesn't smell or attract vermin and very slowly turns into soil. Of course, the leaves have covered that now, but that was months of food waste. And then I showed that if you put it over an inch or two of soil, the soil microbes inoculate the food waste and it does turn into soil in 3 to 6 days, and now stuff is growing in there. All of that with never any smell. And I'd also shown that you can just take your food grinder and that stinky food and grind it into a bucket, and even if it spills on the ground, it turns into soil, or you can just leave it in the bucket for as long as you want. So now what I wanted to do is I wanted to show that apartment dwellers can do this too, that you don't need a garden, because we've had a lot of people ask, can we do this in the city? And since we are solar cities and we're all about making cities better, making eco cities that work for human beings, I decided, because I didn't want to create a possible problem for the baby, I decided that I was going to make it so that I did it indoors. So I did the grinding and took a bucket of food waste and put it inside the shed. And yesterday was a sweltering hot day. Today is hot, so if there were any problems, you'd notice. Now, this is from over a week ago. I ground up the food waste and I did not put a lid on it because you want it to be aerobic. And so when I ground it up and left it inside the shed here, and this is where we have the solar electric dryer when we're not drying the clothes using sunshine. This gets fairly hot in here. I mean, it gets really hot. And so you'd think that if you just ground up food waste, and this is everything because we're omnivores, that it would really stink. But no, it doesn't smell. And I can put my nose right up to it. I smell nothing. So, and the baby would let you know too if it was really smelling. So, we just put our noses down. Nope, there's nothing. No smell at all. Oh my gosh, I'm getting a notice from Carlos Galloway from Jefferson High School, Mr. Marsville himself. Hey, Carlos, it's really good to hear from you. Wow. Blast from the past, man. I show your video like every year, several times, to students all over the world. You're famous. Wow, so good to hear from you. Hey, catch up with us on Facebook. I'd love to I'd love to catch up with you. That's amazing. Wow, so good to hear from you. I'm glad that YouTube Live is used as a gateway for connection between old friends. And I would love to hear what you're doing and see how you've progressed. I'm working right now on a video on how to be green at home for National Geographic, and I'm using a lot of green screen. And all the stuff that we used to do back in the 90s together has become part of my job at the University of South Florida as a professor of global sustainability. And then I'm trying to make some videos showing really simple techniques like this one. Take all your food waste, grind it in an InSinkErator food grinder, and then you can leave it in the house. And you want to de-water it because eventually you'll fill up so many buckets that it won't be worth it. And then you can just dump it on a potted plant or in the garden, but you'll never need to buy fertilizer again. Thank you very much. Thanks, Carlos. You're amazing. Like I say, I was just sharing your video with National Geographic when we did a webinar on creativity in the classroom, and you're an icon. It was like decades later, you were on the cutting edge, and it still holds up today. What a beautiful, beautiful piece of work that you did. So, yeah, we're hoping that people will get the message that there should never be any food waste problem. Food waste is the number 3 greenhouse gas emitter, creating tremendous problems, and it's another burden on humanity with its associated diseases from rats and roaches and flies. And yet when you grind it, you can just let it sit almost indefinitely, and it ain't attracting nothing. There's no smell, no flies, no insects, no vermin. It's all just slowly decomposing. And like I say, if we then inoculate this with a little bit of soil, then it will turn into soil. And that's going to be the next thing that we're going to do, having proven that over a week this ground up food waste is just sitting here doing nothing. My next job is to inoculate it. Actually, I will inoculate it here. I'll bring some soil over and I'll leave it in the shed because I want it to be indoors. That way I can check and see if it ever creates any smell problems at all. So let me go get some soil from out here so that I can inoculate, and then we should be good. So I'd love for others of you to try this technique out. See if indoor composting works. The next time I do this, I'm going to do it inside our tiny home, because that way, if it works for us in a tiny little RV, then it works for anybody, because your apartments will be much bigger, I'm sure. So let's see what I can do. So all this is, what's in there is just ground up food waste. I mean, this is it, ground up in an incinerator, and then I spill it out. But let me grab this from our biodigester there, and let me come in here and just grab some soil from down here and put that in, because we want those soil microorganisms, right? That's what's going to do the trick. That's what's going to make it turn into soil. Otherwise, it'll just sit there for months and months. Okay, so I've got some soil here, and I'm going to take that soil and I'm going to add it to the food waste, and that's going to be my next treatment. So once again, to recap, I ground up food waste in the incinerator, put it in a bucket, left the lid off, and kept it in the hot shed for a week. And noticed that there was absolutely no smell, no flies, no roaches, nothing attracted to it. Now I'm going to put some soil in to inoculate, because these microbes should be able to turn the rest of it into soil. I've already done the experiment over months that if I don't add soil to it, it just sits there and browns slowly for many months. But this is something you could do at home. Grind up your food waste, add a little soil inoculant to it, and then let it sit. If it's unsightly, of course you can put this lid on, but you want air to get in, so maybe poke holes in there. I think when I do it in the house, I'll poke some holes because nobody wants to look at this. But, well, we can see how quickly this turns into soil. And I think this is going to be a tremendous lifesaver for people all over the world. I'm very confident now that we can say that in the city, in apartments, people can keep all their food waste at home. If you're squeamish, start out on your porch or on a balcony or on your roof. But I'm discovering here that you don't even need to do that. You just grind your food. And the only issue you're going to have is dewatering it. So you want to maybe put it in a sieve or a colander and let the water go down the sink. But keep all that food waste in the house, add a little soil, let's turn it into fertile soil, put it on your potted plants, and eventually, folks, sell it, because soil is in short supply. This planet had the richest soils. This country, America, was known for its deep and rich soil until the Europeans brought the plow. And once they brought the plow, they disturbed that soil ecosystem, and dried it up and turned it into dirt. We had the Dust Bowl, and then they put chemical fertilizers to try to get plants to grow in it, and it's awful. One of the most important things you can do for drawing down carbon, stopping global warming, is to create new soil. Soil's a living organism. So there are living organisms in that soil that I just poured in that food waste. They're going to start working on the food waste and breaking it down to create more soil. Then we'll eventually start bagging the soil and selling it, because it'll be a superior fertilizer because we're not losing any of the nutrient value. So sort of like making yogurt culture. And I guess my son now is saying that he's had it and he wants to take a nap. But on behalf of all of us at Solar Cities, God bless you. Have a wonderful Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and happy holidays. And Carlos, thank you so much for joining us on this. And I look forward to seeing you on Facebook. If you use Facebook, it'd be wonderful to see you. I'm connected with some of our other Jefferson friends on there, and it would be great to catch up. And hopefully sometime, if you're still in LA, my brother lives out in Hollywood, so we want to take a visit out there and when the pandemic's over, and it would be great to see you and maybe make another video. That would be great. I want to hear all about you. All right. God bless you. Bye-bye.